What is for stress? Stress?
Yeah, when they open it. It's also for my cold.
It's very stressful to open this.
Yeah, are you able to open it?
No, I'm going to dispose it.
No, no. Okay,
This is for stress or cold?
it's for the cold,
Oh,
actually.
that is
Yeah,
fine. I can open for you.
thank you.
So this is getting live streamed. This is getting live streamed.
Okay. Such a stress for stress.
I'm just getting the charger. No, I'll open that.
You know how to open?
वेरी टफ यहाँ से पुल को कुछ यहाँ पे देखो लगा पुल को कुछ करना पड़ेगा लेकिन पुल कैसे होगा आई डोंट नो इट्स लाइव स्ट्रीम
Unique. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. The process of watering a tree is to pour water on the root. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated in Bhagavad Gita as Avidi Purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should work only for satisfying yajna or Vishnu. The perfectional form of human civilization, known as Varnashram Dharma, is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. However, less intelligent persons, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord. Although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. Although Hiranyakashipu offered his obeisances unto Lord Brahma, he was strongly inimical toward Lord Vishnu. This is a symptom of an asura. Asuras worship the demigods as being separate from the Lord, not knowing that all the demigods are powerful because of being servants of the Lord. If the Supreme Lord were to withdraw the powers of the demigods would no longer be able to offer benedictions to their worshippers. The difference between a devotee and a non-devotee, or asura, is that a devotee knows that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that everyone derives power from him. Without worshipping the demigods for particular powers, a devotee worships Lord Vishnu, knowing that if he desires a particular power, he can get that power while acting as Lord Vishnu's devotee. Therefore, in the Shastra, Bhagavatam 2.3.10, it is recommended, Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. Even if a person has material desires, instead of worshiping the demigods, he should pray to the Supreme Lord so that his connection with the Supreme Lord will be established and he will be saved from becoming a demon or a non-devotee. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya gives the following quotation from the Brahmatarka. Ekasthanaika kar yatvad Vishnu pradhanyatastata jivasyatad adinatvam tad vina dikritam vachaha. Since Vishnu is the Supreme, by worshipping Vishnu, one can fulfill all one's desires. There is no need to divert one's attention to any demigod. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavisham Tatitangena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna. So Lord Brahma came to Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu, he was very pleased, and he immediately fell flat with his head on the ground and began to express his obligation to the Lord, capital L, Lord. So he was feeling pretty good about himself, and said, I did all these austerities. Now I'm going to get what I wanted, and and he felt obliged to Lord Brahma. He knew Lord Brahma is the secondary creator of the universe, and we're all secondary creators. Whatever we can do people like artists and musicians and scientists and people who design new machines or new drugs, and they're pretty proud of themselves. And they don't mind telling you about it, and they like to get their awards and their Nobel prizes or whatever they take. I'm a creator. I create. I create. Nobody creates. Well, we have some creative power because we're part and parcel of Krishna eternally, and he gives. So we and Krishna is the supreme creator, but. Yeah, so everyone has some desire to create and some creative power. Krishna may give some talent, some ability to, he gives different talents and abilities to different people, and according to their desires from this life or past lives. And so people create, but without Krishna, nobody can create anything. I can't move my hand up, and my eyes can't see, and I can't talk. No, I can't walk. No, nobody can do anything unless Krishna gives us that power. Everyone is empowered in some way, to some extent by Krishna, but the intelligent person or the grateful person, not only intelligent isn't enough. There are many intelligent people in the world, but they also have to have direction, some instructions, knowledge, and knowledge coming from the supreme source of all knowledge. There are so many intelligent people in the world, but so like in the United States, there's no conception of worshiping demigods. There's everyone has some conception of worshiping somebody higher, like when you go to work, you worship to some extent your boss, you worship president. Everyone has some idea of some kind of worship, of not necessarily demigods, as people in India know or customarily do, but everyone is worshiping someone to get some favor. As Prabhupada says many times that the devotees of the demigods are not actually devotees. Devotee means selfless surrender to Krishna, to God, and the only person, yeah. So for demigod worshippers, there's always some selfish interest, like Hiranyakashipu here. He spent a long time doing these austerities and worshiping Lord Brahma, but it was all for gaining power. And the devotees are. I don't want followers, power. I don't want beautiful women. I don't want money. Money represents power. If you have money, you're powerful. And anyway, so every worship of the demigods is always with some self-interest. And unless you're worshiping the demigods, as the gopis did with Goddess Katyayani, to get Krishna as your husband, then that kind of demigod worship is fine, is good. Whatever you do in order to gain Krishna's favor more, surrender to Krishna more, is good. Demigod worship or whatever you want to do. If the goal is to become a better devotee, then it's good. But generally, mostly people in the material world worship demigods or worship any powerful living being, living person for their own purposes. I want this from you, so I worship you, and I'm hoping that you'll give me my promotion in the company or give me a government position, a department head or something, and or whatever, just some kind of benefit. And if you do, then I like you. If you don't, then I go, that damn boss. I did everything for him, and he promoted this other guy who is less qualified than me, or maybe more qualified than me, but he didn't worship the boss as much as I did. There are other expressions for that kind of worship in the business world or in the material world that are a little uncouth. But it's all so that type of worship is not real worship. Worship of the demigods is not real worship, although there's some elements of it. It's not that people don't respect the demigods and consider them powerful, but and consider them able to give all kinds of benedictions. They are, that's their job as Krishna's representatives. But these verses from the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada quotes pretty frequently, anytime this subject is brought up in any purport or verse, Prabhupada always quotes these verses. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, the son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. And and whatever the demigods give, it has, because they are only representatives of the supreme government, the supreme personality of Godhead. Whatever they want to give to their so-called worshiper has to be approved by Krishna anyway. They don't have any power, like a government official doesn't have any power on his own to give a benediction, but their power comes from the king or the executive head of the government, and on their own they don't have any power. So Krishna says here, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down, and the worship of whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods is really meant for me alone, but is offered without true understanding. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. So Krishna is not shy. Is not. Krishna knows who he is. He says, Krishna knows I'm the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. Everything rests on me as pearls are strung on a thread. I'm the source of all existence. And Krishna knows who he is. I'm the source of all power, all beauty, all strength, all knowledge, all fame, all renunciation. I'm the source of everything. I'm God. And Krishna is not shy about telling us. He said, he's very, very blunt about it. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Yeah, if anyone who gains power in the material world, like Hiranyakashipu or any like big president or king or head of a corporation or whatever, or even a father or mother in a family, they want to be supreme in the family, and but everyone wants to be the supreme, and they'll present they be people become the conditioned soul can become extremely puffed up. Look at Pandraka. He was so puffed up that he went to Krishna and he put on two fake arms to be like a four-armed form. I don't know how he did it, with like cut out cardboard pieces or something, or I don't know what he made his two other arms out of, but he had the nerve and the audacity. He was so puffed up that he went to Krishna and he said, "I'm Krishna. I'm the supreme personality of Godhead, and you better bow down and worship me." And so there's no limit to how puffed up a conditioned soul can become like that. Oftentimes, especially that you see like a king or a queen or a dictator in a government, they can come to the point where they consider themselves supreme. That I can do whatever I want. If I don't like you, I can kill you. If I like you, I can give you anything, and nobody can do anything to me. Of course, in the end, they're always killed either by one of their followers or by disease or death or by votes. They get voted out sometimes, but they're so it's such a power is like a greatest a great addiction, and it makes a person feel like they're invincible, they're unconquerable, I can do whatever I want, and nobody can tell me not to. Nobody can stand up against me. So, yeah, so the demigod, of course, the demigods are demigods, but even in the case of demigods, sometimes in the prime example is Lord Indra, who, when the cowherd men were offering him sacrifices, Indra and then Krishna told him, "Oh, don't worship Indra. He has to do whatever he has to do as a demigod. But our real relationship is with Govardhan Hill, and ultimately is instructing Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men to worship Govardhan Hill, and he himself is Govardhan Hill, which everyone saw when the Govardhan Puja was going on. And Krishna had assumed a gigantic form, and everyone could see that he and Govardhan Hill are identical. And yeah, so but Krishna is really, making a point with his father and with the other cowherd men that you should worship me. Don't worry about Indra. He's my servant. If you satisfy me, then that's really all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anyone else. And yeah, so but Indra, he took it. He was a little puffed up. I heard Prabhupada talking about Lord Indra a few days ago, and he was making the point that Indra's in anxiety about losing his position as head of the King of Heaven, and that's why he was always, trying to stop, who was the one who was doing 100 horse sacrifices? And so you got up to 99. And then Lord Indra's like, I got to stop him from doing this 100 horse sacrifice. So he did all kinds of mischief to stop the 100th horse sacrifice, because he's in, no matter how puffed up you are and how apparently secure your living entity is in their position. You may feel very secure, but everyone knows, yeah, I'm Elon Musk, but I got zillions of dollars, and I control hundreds of thousands of people and big corporations. But he knows, well, if I trip going down the stairs and I hit my head on the sidewalk, I could die, or I could become paralyzed, or I could my mind could go crazy in some way, or I could get cancer tomorrow. I mean, no matter how puffed up and so-called secure you may feel in the material world, ultimately, you know you're not secure. Everyone knows they're not secure. Just you trip going down the stairs, that could be it. Quadriplegic or dead, or lose your ability to reason or think or whatever. So no matter, yeah. So even Lord Indra, he doesn't feel secure in his position. So he's always trying to prevent. Sometimes he can't. He can't. It couldn't prevent Hiranyakashipu from taking over. It couldn't prevent Bali Maharaj from taking over the heavenly planets. So he's apparently secure. He's a big man in the universe, but he can be conquered also. And Prabhupada said, I heard him say the other day, he said, he's Indra, he's not very happy. You may think, Prabhupada is so like all-knowing, because his knowledge coming directly from Krishna, and he just made just bluntly, no nonsense. Say, oh, Indra, he's not very happy. You may think, he's a really big man, but he's not happy. And because everyone has to always be in anxiety in the material world. So Krishna's point is, don't go to the demigods. If you want something, if you really want something, Prabhupada gives if you really want something, okay, it's material world. It's material desire, akama sarvakamo va, mokshakam udaradit, yavena bhakti yogena, jita purusham param. You want something? Okay. If you want everything, sarvakama, you don't have any material desire, you just want to be my devotee, or you have all material desires. Or if you want moksha, that's okay. Whatever you want, just come to me. I'm the source of all benedictions. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, free from material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. And previously in the purport, Prabhupada again gives the example, which I don't know how many times, somebody could count it up, probably somebody has counted it up, how many times Prabhupada uses this example of pouring a verse from the Bhagavatam, pouring water on the root of a tree, or giving food to the stomach. It's probably hundreds of times that Prabhupada refers to this example because it's key. It's the whole key for in Krishna consciousness. You want some benefit, whatever benefit you want. You want to satisfy. You want to be my pure devotee, or if you have a lot of material desires, whatever you want, you can't get it. There's no fruit by trying to work at it piece by piece in the material world, or pouring water on the leaves and branches of the tree, or the Prabhupada gives the example if you're very, he tells the story of the parts of the body were talking and they were with each other and they're like, oh, that we do all the work and we get all the food and we just put it in the mouth and it goes to the stomach and we're the ones doing all the work to get the food. And so he said, the story Prabhupada says is the senses decided to go on strike, and he said we're not going to feed the stomach anymore. It's obviously it's a silly story, but that's how silly every conditioned soul is. They say, I'm not going to serve Krishna. I'm not going to. I'm not going to put food in my stomach. I'm going to try to enjoy. I'm going to be the independent enjoyer. It's ludicrous. It's silly. And so Prabhupada, the story is that the senses just talked among themselves and they decided to go on strike and not feed the stomach. So the result was that all the different parts of the body got weak. So to carry the analogy further, everyone in the material world is very weak. Material world, no one is strong, and no one is strong. Everyone is helpless, weak, a tiny person. Maya gives us the illusion of some kind of strength or ability, or some kind of importance in the material world, or supremacy over a certain group of people. Maya allows a person that illusion because that's what we want. But no one in the material world is strong. Everyone is weak. The biggest, strongest muscle man or the biggest dictator. No one is strong. Whatever strength they have is given to them by their karma, by the material energy, grants a person a certain amount of dominance over somebody else in the material world. And she gives us the illusion that, yes, look at you, you're a strong man, you're powerful. People do what you tell them to do, and you're strong. No one is strong. Everyone is a weak, helpless person. And later in life, everyone sees that the most powerful person, when they're in old age and their health has failed, and they have disease and they're coming close to death, and everyone gets the realization that I'm very weak. I can't get out of bed. Somebody has to clean me after I pass stool in my bed. Somebody has to put the food in my mouth. So I used to be a president. Now I can't even see or hear. I'm weak. No one is strong. Everyone is weak. So but the devotees become very powerful but not in an effort to become powerful, but get some empowerment by Krishna to carry out their devotional service. Like so Prabhupada was extremely powerful, and you can hear it in his voice. You can listen to his voice and just feel how powerful he is. And so many of Prabhupada's disciples who are faithful servants of him in disciplic succession for so many years, they become extremely powerful also, but they're not attached to the power as a materialist is, but they're only attached to their devotional service. And if the power that they have can be used in Krishna's service, then good. But there's no point in being so-called powerful on my own. It's no more valuable than like in the Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that the devotee sees pebbles, stones, and gold all the same. So the materialist is like, what do you mean? Pebbles aren't the same as gold. Gold is really good, and pebbles is just a little rock. But the gold is no more valuable than the little tiny rock on the street. The gold is just a chunk of metal, or a diamond is just a chunk of carbon in a compressed form. But there's no value to these things, and there's no value to so-called power, fame, influence, beauty, or knowledge, so-called wisdom, the so-called university degree. There's no value to any of these things. It's separate from, unless they're used in the service of Krishna, then they're valuable. The example is that if you have a zero, it's a zero. If you have 2 zeros, it's 2 zeros. If you have 100 zeros, it's still 100 zeros. But if you put 1 in front of those zeros, then it's a really big number. The being a strong, physically strong, is a zero. Being wealthy in the material world is a zero. Being a president is a zero. Being a rock star is a zero. But if you're like George Harrison and you become a rock star for Krishna, then it's a really big number. Or if you use your wealth and fame and power, beauty for Krishna, then it's a really big number. So yeah, it's a very simple principle. It's very easy to understand. It's like there's nobody with any little bit of intelligence that can't understand that. It's so when you all the truths of the Vedas are very clear and not hard to understand. It's easy to understand and anyway, okay, so a person with broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desires, free of material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Okay, so I'll stop there. Any questions or comments?
2 questions.
Yes.
First question is that you said the devotee become powerful
Yeah.
by Krishna's grace.
Yeah.
They may go on devotional service. So how but we also find that sometimes when the devotee may be in the beginning, he may be simple. When he's struggling.
What?
When the devotee is struggling in the beginning, he may be simple. He may be
Yeah.
simple. He may be like,
Yeah.
depending on the devotee, then say, Prabhu, I'm struggling. But if a devotee, he
Yeah.
may become more stable. and
Yeah.
he may start doing some kind of devotional service. He may be, I know, he may be thinking, oh, I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So then how the devotee should be careful of not falling the trap of pride, because the pride.
Just be careful. We're smart. We have some brains. We have some intelligence. We have some understanding. We taught in class every day all these things. Don't be puffed up. Don't be proud. Don't this. Don't that. Do this. Do that. We're taught all these things every day. All we have to do, and they come to our mind if you're becoming like you start practicing the harmonium and leading kirtans and you have some talent, let's say, and you become like really good at it. Like really, some people are really they get talented, they get good at, but Krishna will tell you in your heart, in your mind, he says, yeah, you got to be a good kirtan leader. Don't be puffed up. I mean, the lessons are pretty clear, and all we have to do is just read and listen and chant and just you know just be careful. Like if you drive a car, I got to be careful. I better be careful. I don't want to go too much that way. I don't want to go that way. I got to stay straight. I got to be careful. Just, yeah, so, just be careful.
So what are the ways we can detect pride in our heart? What are the ways we can detect pride in our heart?
You can see it. It's not hard to see. I mean, Krishna shows it to us. Krishna is like, Krishna knows our mind, our thoughts, better than we know our thoughts and our motivations and everything. Krishna, you'll have some pride, and Krishna doesn't like pride in a devotee. You like pride in our spiritual master, pride in Krishna, pride yeah, but not proud in myself. Like, look at me, proud, but pride in Guru and Krishna. But when Krishna sees that my devotee is becoming puffed up, proud, yeah, he's getting good at something, and I see he's becoming proud, so he'll just hold it up to you and say, look at that. Look at what you just thought. That was a proud, selfish thought. Don't do that. Krishna is not shy about showing us what our problems are. He tells us what our problems are very likely to be. And he gives us all kinds of warnings. And then when he sees those problems being manifest in our heart and our mind, as is not unusual for practicing devotees, these things are not unusual, very common. Krishna will hold it up and say, look at what you just thought. Like write it in gold letters and show it to you, like, this is what you just thought. And don't do it.
One more question. Bro, you're saying that 000, then it becomes valuable.
Yeah.
But sometimes devotee may start accumulating so much of zeros. His endeavors could be to just get a lot of zeros so that he can have a one and then have a big contribution for Prabhupada's movement. So somebody may want a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
Somebody may want a lot of wisdom, lot of knowledge, lot of
Yeah.
degrees. So sometimes the endeavors are so much to get zeros, and the desire is that he will have one also, so that he can have a big kind of contribution for the mission. So what do you say? But there is a danger that
There's always danger
So a devotee should be just satisfied with one, because one is there, Krishna, no? So that's fine. So why?
It is fine.
Yeah.
If that, it is fine. But
They may not
look
be
at
pure,
like
they may not be-
Palavatcha Sridhar, so many examples. Raghunath Das Goswami, he was getting a lot of money every month from his father. And then he said, I'm not going to take this money anymore. And then he became so renounced. He was just taking old rotten rice from behind the temple. It can work both ways. You can be really poor and have just one.
So what should devotee desire?
What?
A simple devotee, what should desire? He should desire only for one, or he should desire 000 and one.
He should consult
Hmm.
with his spiritual master, ideally with his spiritual master, but at least with senior people, he should consult. And then some devotees they're gonna be rich. Some devotees, they're good businessmen, they have a desire, and they're gonna be rich. And most devotees won't. Most devotees will be, okay, or even poor. But some are gonna be rich. So use it for Krishna. Use your money for Krishna. Use your time and energy for Krishna. Just consult.
If some devotee comes to you and says that I want to become rich,
Yeah.
and she died, okay, I will endeavor like this, like this, like this. And then
I
I'll say,
tell them, be careful, it's a really, I mean, when I was working, I never made any money till I was like 40 years old. I had little jobs here and there, but I never made any real money before I got married and we moved to Gitanagari and I started selling flowers. I started making money, and when you start making money, it can get to you, and it can be a distraction. So, you want to be rich, you want to make a lot of money. It's okay. But I'm telling you what can happen, and be careful.
okay.
Okay, let's stop there. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalava Kati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalava Kati Sadma Vandamai Savarana Mate Vandamai Savarana Mate Radha Prasadeva Eva Vaturiyaja Krishna Prapti Hoya Hoite
Vakya